Man, this game's fun. Wait, wasn't there something I was supposed to do? I totally forgot about this. I need to change immediately.
Much better. Now we can talk about the top 10 cards from Commander Legends for the Centurion format. Remember to leave a like, subscribe and hit that bell. That's what makes me going. Before we get into this top 10, I have an honorable mention for a card that's been a staple of our format for years at this point. 3 Visits. A ramp spell originally from one of the Portal sets that just got reprinted and had for the longest time a very high price tag. Finally, we can all enjoy an affordable 3 Visits, so that's pretty good. So, let's jump into this list, and starting off easy at number 10, we have Hellkite Courser, a big dumb dragon that on the surface might not seem much, but when paired up with commanders like Xenagos, Dragon and Morang can easily result in 1 card lethal. Don't underestimate this fellow. 6 mana can be easily achieved by both big red and elf ball decks as early as turn 3, and this guy coming down probably means that you're going to die. I like to picture this dragon as a Through the Breach for commanders with an added free chunker. Not bad if you ask me. Next up, at number 9, we have a colorless land that gets more and more powerful the fewer colors you play. War Room. Getting to draw 1 extra card each turn once you start to enter into late game can be game winning by itself. A great parallel can be made with Castle Locthwain, which also taps for 3 mana to draw a card. Yes, Castle Locthwain gives color and mana, but it's something that you can't jam into every deck, unlike War Room, which is a great land for mono and bicolor decks. This card doesn't break the game like other colorless lands, but it makes your turn smoother. It's a nice little utility, and in decks like Nissa and Azusa that already play cards like Mikokoro and Seagate Wreckage, this is gonna be fire. At number 8, we have the first ever 0 mana legendary creature in Magic the Gathering, being one of the most beloved creature types ever, Rograk, Son of Rogra. A kobold with a lot of keywords but not a lot of stats. So, why is a 0-1 here on the list? Well, because if built accordingly, it can easily become a hefty threat. Give him a sword, and your opponent will shiver at the mere thought of this guy swinging. Don't forget, he's also a partner, and there's quite a number of partners that fit him well. Imprimi Skelet and Rayan, which can easily juice up this guy in no time. If that's not enough, remember that Rograk is still a kobold. And kobolds are meant to be dispensable henchmen that will blindly sacrifice themselves for you. So, why not feed him to a Moxamber or a Diabolic Intent? Just saying. Number 7. Court of Grace. An enchantment that acts as both a card advantage engine and a finisher for the tap-out control decks that can abuse the monarchy, like Marquesa and Aminato. In Marquesa you can easily get back the monarchy through your commander, and in Aminato, even if you end up losing the monarch, you can still blink this to get it back. Even just by itself, this card can be a hefty threat for your opponent to deal with. Yes, 4 mana Bitter Blossom is not something that I would jam into every deck, but in the right meta and the right deck, this can easily take over the game in a couple of turns. I think that most cards from the cycle are playable, but out of the bunch, this is the one that really stands out. Number 6. The Familiars. Here we have more than 1 card. As always, I like to cheat a little bit, and these guys are all here because they're really good at being a support for the other partner you want to play. I don't think that the red and green one are really worth playing in our format. The green feels very slow and the red is just a 2 mana 1-1, but all the others, well, they are very snowbally. With your other partner, they can easily build up pressure that keeps piling up and up until your opponent gets in a spot where it's basically impossible for them to get back. Kelet is amazing with aggressive cheap commanders like Rayan and Rograk. Faltis turns Akiri into a keyword soup, and Ezio gives you a lot of protection and tempo. Making your opponent pay 4 mana for a bolt really slows them down. Number 5. Dargo the Shipwrecker. While this guy real mana cost is 7, you will often end up paying 1 to 3 mana for him. To my eyes, his ability is kinda like a strange, more demanding version of Delve. Dargo lets you sacrifice card advantage in exchange for tempo and damage, which is what red is really all about. Where it shines is when it's combined with cards that either want to sacrifice things or want to be sacrificed, like Lotus Petal, the Baubles and Phyrexian Altar, which lets you infinitely cast your commander and combo off. Stay on the lookout for this guy, since I'm pretty sure that we'll see a lot of him in the future, especially for a card that we will talk about in a little bit. Number 4. Here we find Tevesh, a high impact, high pressure planeswalker that can easily gum up the board and draw a lot of cards. The ultimate is just insane, as all ultimates should be, and overall I can see Tevesh becoming one of the cornerstones of partner, midrange and control decks, next to maybe a Ludovic or a Rayan. In midrange decks in particular, I think he will be a great tool even in the 99s, especially the non-blue ones, where having the option to cash in tokens and creature for 2-3 cards is just amazing. There's also the option to go combo with Rograk and use him as a card draw engine to fuel up your storming turns. Also, I kinda want to use him with Skull Clump. Drawing 2 cards for each throw and 4 from every other creature seems very busted. Rounding up the podium at number 3, we have Opposition Agent, a 3/2 with flash and a taxing effect that is backbreaking to say the least. Casting an Opposition Agent in response to a fetch land is already pretty good by itself, but it can get much better. Imagine casting this in response to a Vannifar or an Intuition. This will be an excellent tool for aggressive midrange and tempo decks, and an easy comparison for this guy can be Evenmind Sensor, since most of the times Opposition Agent will just be an Evenmind Sensor that also has enter the battlefield, draw a very strong card. The earlier you can get Agent down, the better it gets, even if it means just denying your opponent early fetch lands, so pairing him up with elves is a no-brainer. If not with elves, I can still imagine this card see a lot of play in Hordes of Dead and Taxes and Dimir Tempo decks. Number 2. Hullbreacher. Here we have Opposition Agent Brother-in-Law, another 3 mana 3/2 with flash and a taxing effect. This guy is overall just a great beater, and a tool for the same decks that want card like Opposition Agent. I ended up giving the second spot to Hullbreacher, since in general drawing cards is a broader effect to tax than tutoring. And yes, Opposition Agent leads to more blowouts, but a card to be strong in Commander needs to be flexible and good in every spot, while Opposition Agent when compared to Hullbreacher is niche even when you factor in fetch lands. Think about every card that draws extra cards, like Gallia, Uro, Jace, Sylvan Library, Skullclamp. I can go on for hours. All of these cards become useless. Hullbreacher has been compared a lot to Notion Thief, and I feel like this guy is much better. While the ceiling is lower, the floor is way higher. Unlike Notion Thief, Hullbreacher is cost efficient. A 3 mana 3/2 is worth of difference to a 4 mana 3/1. And yes, drawing cards is better than getting a treasure, but when getting the treasure means keeping some of the slowest turns your deck might have, going from 3 to 5, well then the tempo advantage you get from casting your Hullbreacher might be even more valuable than the card advantage you get from Notion Thief. Therefore, the best use for this card is in something that wants to go face. If you're just going to play this guy to deny draw and then keep it down for blockers, well, you might as well just play an Arset. That said, I feel like both Hullbreacher and Opposition Agent will be amazing cards. I can't wait to see my opponent shiver every time I have 3 mana up and I want to cast that Brainstorm or that Intuition. And finally guys, here we have the strongest card from Commander Legends, Jeska Thrice Reborn, a 3 mana planeswalker that can either triple your damage or deal with multiple targets in a row. Tripling your damage by itself is pulverizing. Even just a 3/3 is gonna kill your opponent in no time with her on the field. And if tripling your damage was not enough, she can also deal with multiple targets in one go, demolishing any board your opponent might try to develop. If I had to bet all of my chips on one card, Jeska would be my choice for the strongest card from this set. It is simply out of any standard our format has ever seen, and I'm sure she will warp the meta around her. Even as a card in 99, she is still incredibly powerful, as long as you are playing an aggressive deck and you have a commander that you can curve into. This card is so strong that it creates multiple tier 1 archetypes by herself. Actually, I think I will go on a little bit of a journey here, a little bit of a stretch if you may, and say that the entirety of the tier 1 viable decks will be Jeska X decks. To be more precise, I think that the meta will revolve around 3 decks: Jeska Rayan, Jeska Kiri, and Jeska Dargo, where Dargo loses to Akiri, Akiri loses to Rayan, and Rayan loses to Dargo. Buckle up, Centurions. We're about to enter into the Red Winter. That said, guys, I think this top 10 comes to an end. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about my list and what you think about the absolute monster that Jeska is. And well, as always, keep your shield up, Centurions. See you soon.